Jim, let's talk about AEW Dynamite's ratings this past week. On TBS, Tuesday, October 8th, so Tuesday Night Dynamite, Title Tuesday, 9 to 11:10 p.m., a preempted airing, it says here from WrestleNomics.
Well, and also that is somewhat like jumbo shrimp and government intelligence. If it's preempted, it didn't air at all. It's an airing outside the normal time slot.
On average, watched by 329,000 viewers.
Ooh.
They are down 52% from last week, which was 680,000 viewers. According to WrestleNomics, this is the new low for the overall number and the key demo for any Dynamite episode, preempted or not. See, again, with the way he uses preempted there, that means the blank screen got a higher rating.
Well, and I get it. That's possible. So Rampage 216, Collision 269, and Dynamite 329. If you add those up, you get 814,000. They were still 60,000 below the NXT program on Tuesday night, on a second week on its new station. Because people knew that it was going to be there because of promotion.
Well, let's go to these numbers here, and I don't know what the lead-in was. I'm not sure.
Possibly footage of the evacuation. Everybody leave your homes. Get the fuck out now. Even if you're in Idaho, just get the fuck out of your homes.
Well, quarter one, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The Jon Moxley backstage speech, the Bryan Danielson promo that was shot on a camcorder, the Darby Allin Brody King live angle, Jake Roberts negotiating with Lance Archer and Don Callis backstage, and an ad break. 450,000 viewers.
Okay, and at the same time, NXT was doing 858,000 for their quarter five, and that was a drop of 33,000 people. So we were asking, we wonder if some of the NXT people went over to AEW. We may be about to find out.
Quarter two, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The Daniel Garcia live promo and the start of Hologram versus Commander with picture-in-picture, 292,000 viewers.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to quote Percy Pringle. Oh, sweet Jesus.
103,000 in the key demo.
They lost, 158,000 people out of 450,000. They lost 33% of their audience from quarter one to quarter two. How the fuck does that work?
Well, we go to quarter three, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m., the end of Hologram versus Commander with the post-match.
So wait a minute, we forgot to compare.
Oh.
Quarter two did 811,000 people.
For NXT.
For NXT, as opposed to, well, the quarter six, which was opposite quarter two. The point is, at 9 o'clock, NXT had 858,000. And AEW had 450,000. And we asked the question, when NXT dropped to 811 in the next quarter, did 40-something thousand go over to AEW? And the answer is no. At AEW land, 158,000 people said fuck it and left.
Well, we go to quarter three, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m., the end of Hologram versus Commander, the post-match with Jake Roberts and LFI, LFino, the Mark Briscoe backstage promo, the Daniel Garcia live promo. Well, I guess the other thing wasn't the promo, that was just him arriving. The EJ Duca, forgive me, I missed this. EJ Naduka Swerve Strickland backstage angle.
I don't remember that either.
That's what it says here.
I don't know who is EJ Nuka.
N-D-U-K-A. I don't know. I missed that.
And I've seen his name in writing, but I've never seen him.
And then MVP and Shelton Benjamin's backstage angle and an ad break. 296,000 viewers.
Okay, and that's opposite 784,000 for NXT, and NXT had lost also.
That was Sexy
From
Red. That was Sexy Red.
Yeah, that was the lowest rated quarter of NXT because of Red and her lack of sexiness, but they still didn't show up over at AEW. They just went somewhere else.
Well, we go to quarter four, 9:45 to 10 p.m. The Mercedes Moné Camille backstage promo. Daniel Garcia being congratulated by wrestlers backstage for deciding to sign a contract. And the start of Saraya versus Nyla Rose versus Willow Nightingale versus Jamie Hayter. 286,000 viewers.
Ooh. And that was opposite 838,000 for Randy Orton and the fellow who couldn't hit the RKO.
Well, we now go to quarter five.
Now they're unopposed.
The big 10 o'clock hour. Do you know where your children are?
They're wrestling on AEW.
The continuation of the four-way women's match. The post-match with Mariah May. The Learning Trees confrontation with Rocky Romero. Jay White versus Cody Chun. Hook and Kip Sabian and the Patriarchy's backstage angle. And an ad break. 334,000 viewers.
Well, so they picked that 48,000 people at the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Maybe some of the NXT folks did come over to see some more.
It has to be.
Wrestling, to see how the other half lived.
Quarter 6, 10:15 to 10:30 p.m. The Willow Nightingale Mariah May backstage angle. Mercedes Moné versus Emi Sakura with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Camille and Chris Statlander. 323,000 viewers.
And some more said, well, that's enough of that. 11,000 to be exact. So they're struggling. Where are they going for the big finish?
We now go to quarter 7, 10:30 to 10:45 p.m. The private party confrontation with Stokely Hathaway. The Will Ospreay Don Callis family angle. The Action Andretti confrontation with Top Flight and Layla Gray.
Was that I forgot who the fuck that was. I knew Top Flight. Didn't recognize the girl, but I'd forgotten what Action Andretti looked like.
Layla Gray. How could you ever forget what she looks like? Fine.
Because I don't care.
Well, we go now to quarter 8. I remind you there's an overrun. 10:45 to 11 p.m. An ad break. The Jack Perry promo. And the start of Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta versus Claudio and Pac with picture-in-picture. 296,000 viewers. 10-minute overrun, 11 to 11:10 p.m. Continuation of the match. Post-match with Moxley and Marina Shafir. 328,000 viewers. The lowest Dynamite in history.
And I'm surprised, honestly, that the overrun picked up, because what do they normally have at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night?
Movies for guys who like movies.
Well, that used to do big.
Yeah.
So they started at 450,000. At the end of regulation, they were at 296,000. That means they had lost 154,000 people, or just over 1/3 of the audience they started with, and then they made a slight comeback to 328,000 in the overrun. Whoo!
Now again, no, this isn't the only time they've gone against NXT, or that they had to move to a Tuesday night. It's never been this result, though.
A couple of years ago, they were making a big deal. We won the Wednesday Night War, because they were doing like, what was it, 100,000 people more than NXT. And then the network moved NXT, and we declare victory. Well, the worm has turned, and the shoe is on the other. I don't know if they've even got shoes on their feet now.
You know, the victory lap everyone in that company who does the public rah-rah for them was taking because of the media rights deal. It's like the Young Bucks victory lap after Punk was fired. You know, you're doing it in empty buildings. No one's paying to go to see these shows. Less and less people are watching these shows. And it's all Tony, who's only getting busier.
Oh, and that's Uncle Dave also mentioned the 19-hour days that Tony is putting in, not only with the wrestling, but also with the football and the analytics and the statistics and whatever else he's doing. And as you said, it's only going to get worse. And, you know, everybody's talking about, well, they're going to be profitable and they're getting guaranteed money from a television network on the theory that they will bring eyeballs. And it's kind of a fucking embarrassing situation that the very week that they announce this thing, they do the lowest ratings in the history of their shows. And I'm saying, you know, whether they're profitable or we do not doubt, and we fully admit they are taking in a shit ton of money. And they already had a shit ton of money. But the problem is, as we've established, they're also spending a shit ton of money. And whether you are profitable or not, if nobody wants to look at the stuff you're doing and nobody's watching it, then at some point, they just canceled SmackDown on Fox, and it was drawing 2 million people. Well, it's not worth it to us, what we're paying. Are these numbers or anything like them worth what they're being paid? And is WBD in 3 years going to go, what the fuck were we thinking? They're doing this to themselves. It's not like there's a goddamn pandemic and they can't have crowds in the buildings, or there's some horrible fucking financial crisis and nobody can afford to go and do anything. That won't happen again unless Trump gets elected. It's not exterior forces that are at work to hold AEW down. It's the shit they've done to themselves, because Tony has viewed this thing from the start as his plaything instead of a goddamn way to make money. And because of his billionaire father and the fact that they've already owned pro football teams and all the other things that they own or have invested in, minus the Black News Channel, it didn't work out. They know the people that will give them more money. But at some point, you've got to do something to justify the money that people are paying you to do something.
And again, that company has a lot of trouble right now and a lot of debt. If the AEW numbers, they're not going to be 300,000 every week right now for Dynamite, but if they continue to go down, if the key demo number continues to go down, if AEW, as it has, continues to go down in every single metric, it's going to look really bad, and then it'll be a story. Look at what they spent their money on when they were having all these problems.
And for all these wise asses go, well, they're haters. They love the WWE, so they want AEW to go out of business. I don't love the WWE either. Honestly, my opinion is all this fucking wrestling sucks. There is occasionally a goddamn bright spot like Punk and McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell, or what FTR used to do as tag team. But otherwise, I think all this shit sucks. I'm not pulling for anybody. I'm pulling for somebody to pull their head out of their ass and do this shit right. Which is why that I'm especially offended at these knuckleheads over here blowing their opportunities. Nobody's ever been willing to spend $250 million just to start a fucking wrestling company that will perform at 20 or 30% of the goddamn industry leader. Nobody has ever been willing to do that because nobody's ever been goddamn insane before. But now that they've done it, I'd like for it to have worked.
Well, there's still time. Tony may turn into a booking genius. You never know.
I think Eddie
Maybe it'll
Graham
just hit him. It'll just strike him one night.
Eddie Graham will rise from the grave before Tony figures out what he's doing.
Hey, with the flooding in Tampa, maybe the grave will come up. You never know.
Oh, good point there.
All right, well, let's end on that really good point or bad point, depending on what kind of taste you have.
Well, you've got a point there, but if you comb your hair right, nobody will notice it.